Hey everybody, this is our lesson on classifying matter. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to classify matter as homogeneous or heterogeneous, a pure substance or a mixture, element or compound, metals, metalloids, nonmetals, solutions, colloids, and suspensions. So this standard actually is covered on a couple different lessons. We're going to really focus on this first part all the way through elements or compounds. Oops. So let's start with substances. So when we're looking at substances, we can start with atoms. And atoms are the simplest form of matter. They're what make up all matter. Everything that you come in contact with is made up of atoms. And a substance itself, or a pure substance, is a material that is either considered an element or a compound, because these are one sample of something. It's not multiple things mixed together. So these cannot be broken down or separated by physical means. So that's why they're called pure. They cannot be broken down at all. An element is matter that is made up of only one kind of atom. So these are what you find on the periodic table, because its full name is the periodic table of elements. So like iron, copper, magnesium, fluorine, those are all elements that are made up of specific atoms of that element. And there's some examples there. And then compounds are samples of matter that are made up of two or more elements that are chemically combined together, which means they are bound together. So to separate them, you have to do it by chemical processes, not just physical processes. So some examples here are water, methane, sugar, things like that. The ratio in a compound of atoms are always the same. So when you have a water molecule, it is always 2 hydrogen atoms for every 1 oxygen atom. And these are usually very different in terms of their properties from the elements that make up the compounds. So for instance, both hydrogen and oxygen are very flammable gases, but together in water, you can use that to put fire out. And here are some examples of elements. Okay, these are like the Bohr models of our elements. And now we can talk about mixtures. So mixtures, sorry, I'm trying to give my son his passy right now. So mixtures are materials made up of 2 or more substances. It's okay. 2 or more substances that are mixed together but are not chemically bound together. These do not always have to contain the same amounts of different substances. It can be a majority of one substance over the other. Okay. And there are 2 different types of mixtures that we have. We have heterogeneous mixtures, which means they do not evenly spread out. They are easily distinguishable. I like to define heterogeneous as you can see the parts. You can see what this mixture is made up of. So food is a wonderful example of this. Pizza, soup, certain soups, salad, Rocky Road ice cream, things like that. And some other examples of these are suspensions. And suspensions are like mixtures that as you let them sit, they settle out and they separate into their parts. And you can see those. So particles are large enough to be seen. Think of like muddy water or like pulpy orange juice. When it sits in the fridge for a long time, you can see the pulp kind of settle at the bottom and the juice is at the top. That's like a suspension. And then we also have what are called colloids. And colloids are heterogeneous mixtures, but these do not settle out. So these stay mixed together. So you can think like mayonnaise. I know you can't see the parts to mayonnaise, but thicker substances that stay mixed together. So that's probably not a great example. But these will produce what's called the Tyndall effect. and this is where particles have the ability to scatter light, so you will not see light go straight through a sample. So fog, whipped cream, milk is a good example. There we go. So it never actually settles out. So there's a nice, delicious picture of pizza. Our other type of mixture is known as a homogeneous mixture, and this is where everything is uniformly mixed. You cannot see the parts. It all looks like one indistinguishable sample. This is also called a solution, so this is a good term to know because you will use these kind of interchangeably. And your particles are so small in these that they can't be seen even with a microscope, so we can't see what all it's made up of. The particles will never settle at the bottom of the container. They will always stay mixed together, and they remain constantly and uniformly mixed. So like Kool-Aid is a good example here, because you can't see the Kool-Aid particles and the water particles and the sugar particles. Another good example here that they like to use to kind of trick you up is air. Air is considered a homogeneous mixture, so it is considered a solution, even though they're all gases. So now, after hearing this, you should be able to classify matter into different classifications.